Then on Sports Central, we go over a college football game preview and prediction on the Week 1 matchup between the Penn State Nittany Lions and the Purdue Boilermakers. Huge matchup for both these teams coming up here in Week 1. You got two teams looking to be dark horse contenders in the Big Ten this season, and they're facing off in Week 1 in what is a pretty crucial matchup. We'll bring over a full game preview and prediction on this matchup here today. Games will be on Thursday, September 1st, so on the opening night of the college football season, and it's a pretty big matchup too. I mean, you got Penn State, Purdue, two teams kind of around the same level last season. I think Penn State kind of underachieved, only got up to 7 wins, and I mean, Purdue just was straight up a big surprise team, getting up to 9 wins, and they had a pretty good season. So, I mean, you got two of the teams that were definitely close to the same level, and definitely good teams in the Big Ten last season facing off in Week 1. I mean, it's definitely a crucial matchup on a Thursday night coming up here. It's in West Lafayette, so the Boilermakers are the home team for this matchup. 8 p.m. Eastern is your kickoff. Spread's going Penn State here by 3, so Nittany Lions, despite having a couple less wins than Purdue last season, of course, once again, Penn State had 7, Purdue had 9. They are favored by 3 in this matchup. Over-unders 54.5, and the FPI is going towards Penn State here, 60.2%. And series history, Penn State leads at 15-3, so I mean, overall, Penn State has had a decent amount of success against Purdue in the past. They've won 9 straight against the Boilermakers. Last time Purdue beat Penn State was in 2004. So, basically 18 years since Purdue last beat Penn State, and this would be quite a time for them to snap that streak, as it's a pretty big matchup once again. Here's a stat comparison for this matchup. These are 2021 statistics or 2021 standings. And these are out of all 130 FBS teams here. So Penn State 90th in points a game, 6th in points allowed. So, I mean, you can tell defensively this was a Penn State team that was very talented and had a great season. They were 26th in the pass yards a game. So it may surprise you to see this team in the top 30 in pass yards from last season, but they were a pretty good team in that area. They were 118th in rush yards a game, so close to the bottom there. But for yards allowed, 23rd in passing, 67th in rushing. So their pass defense last season overall was good, and same with the rush defense. Even the defensive line was pretty good for Penn State last season, and it definitely looks to be even better coming up here in 2022. For Purdue, 59th in points a game, 34th in points allowed. So defensively, Purdue was a pretty good team last season as well. And of course, the thing is about Purdue, this team can't rush the ball. They could not rush the ball last season. I mean, they were 127th in rush yards a game. That is 4th to last in the FBS. But look at their pass yards a game. They were 5th in pass yards a game last season. Aiden O'Connell definitely had a great season for this team, and he's coming back too. I mean, this is a Purdue team that I don't expect to be. I don't think that they were just good last season. I think this is a Purdue team that's going to stay relevant for years to come, at least for the 2022 season. They were 33rd in pass yards allowed, 77th in rush yards allowed. So defensively, once again, Purdue not a bad team last season. Some key points for this one: Penn State 7-6. Sean Clifford returning for yet another season. So I mean, Sean Clifford is a quarterback who still has potential. I mean, we saw a couple of quarterbacks last season who weren't expected to really have breakthrough seasons. So potentially Sean Clifford could be the quarterback to do that in 2022 here. But he's definitely has some work to do to make that happen. But I mean, this is a Penn State team. They're talented in 2021. And once again, I think this team kind of underachieved last year. I mean, at 7-6, this team dealt with a few really close losses. I mean, first one that comes to mind right away is that Illinois 9 overtime loss, which Illinois is a team Penn State should not have lost to last season. There's no doubt in my mind about that. But I mean, in 9 overtimes, just a brutal loss there. And I mean, there were multiple really close losses for this team last season. But are they a potential dark horse contender in the East Division? I mean, you get all the talk about Ohio State and Michigan. I could see Penn State potentially being up there as well within that top 3, top 4. I really don't think Penn State's going to win the division. I'll just say that right away. But I do think this team could cause some noise, potentially cause an upset or two as well in Penn State next season. So they're a team to still keep an eye on. Yeah, Purdue turned out to be great in 2021. Pretty great season for Purdue. I mean, this is a team that knocked off multiple top-ranked teams. I mean, they beat Iowa, they beat Michigan State when both were in their primes. And yeah, Purdue was a team that was pretty dangerous in the Big Ten last season. Aiden O'Connell is returning for this team, and that passing game is dangerous. I mean, this team can't rush. They just didn't rush the ball much last season. They just didn't have any success there. But, I mean, the passing game, this team is able to really trick up some opponents. And, I mean, that could be, once again, the case going into 2022 here with O'Connell coming back, which is huge. Brings up the question, Boilers potentially even better in the 2022 season. Could Purdue potentially get up to 10 wins this upcoming season? And I think it's very much a possibility. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think this team gets up to 10. I'll just be brutally honest there. But I do think this team is very much capable of getting 8 to 9 wins once again in the 2022 season. I think this is a team that people are sleeping on in the West Division, and they certainly, I mean, there are 5 teams that could win that West Division. Purdue is most certainly one of them. They got the potential to definitely do so in this upcoming season. So, I mean, once again, though, I can't stress enough that this is a pretty important match for both these teams here. Purdue being at home, and I mean, it's an incredibly close matchup, too. This is about as close as it gets to predict a game. It's basically like tossing a coin here. You got 2 teams that definitely are very close to each other skill-wise, and I'd say we're fairly similar skill-wise last season, so pretty big matchup. Let's get to the prediction here for Penn State and Purdue. I'm going to go Nittany Lions here. 27-24 is my predicted final score, and this is a one that I've been going back and forth on all offseason. Like this entire summer, I've been kind of dreading this prediction because of how close it is between these 2 teams. You got 2 teams that are extremely similar skill-wise. I really do think so. And in the end, I think Penn State going into Purdue, potentially Purdue uses a home field advantage and can take a win there. But I feel more comfortable picking Penn State in this position just because Purdue has been inconsistent over the years. So potentially I could see Purdue. I feel like this, if you're looking at, for example, the floor for both these teams, I think the floor for Purdue is lower than Penn State in this upcoming season. But at the same time, I mean, I think the ceiling could potentially be higher for Purdue than Penn State. So it's kind of an interesting scenario here. But I think in the end, I'm just, once again, more confident, more comfortable picking Penn State in this position. Purdue, without a doubt, they could win this game, no problem. Well, it's going to be a tough game, but I definitely could see them winning it, without a doubt. So 51%, I'm going towards Penn State. Once again, pretty much a coin toss. Your over-under is 54.5. I'll be taking the under for this matchup. Definitely fairly comfortable with taking the under for this matchup and Purdue to cover the spread. Of course, the spread is currently Penn State by 3, so I mean it's pretty much even right now. But if I'm going to pick the spread, even though it's pretty much once again a coin toss in this situation, I would probably take Purdue to cover the spread just because, I mean, I could see this being more of a lower scoring game. Potentially Penn State only wins it by 2, and in that case, obviously Purdue covers the spread. So definitely a very interesting matchup coming up here in week 1 on Thursday night. Let me know your thoughts and comments below on this matchup, and I appreciate you guys watching as always. Stay tuned for more from All Sports Central. Catch you on the next one.